Hey guys, welcome to another episode of El Jefe's Chopshop. This week we're going to finish this gate that I started and try and get it to actually work as a gate. Alright, so a few weeks ago I started working on this gate, just got the frame going, it's all just tacked together. Now I got sick and then put this aside and then moved on to other jobs. So it's time to get back to it, and what we want to do is make a gate to fill in this gap. So from that pole to the shed, and then have a nice PA gate that swings against the shed, and then I'll put a fence up here in the next week or so. So what am I going to do? So it's a pretty large gate, as you can see. I think it's about 10 mil too wide because I am silly and measured things wrong. So I need to probably adjust that. But to start with, I need to clear out all of these tools and filing cabinets so I can get to that back corner and make something nice and solid to hinge the gate off of. And then once I've got the hinges in place, then I can cut the gate to size. So my first step today is to move all of this. Luckily these ones are on wheels, but these ones are not. So I'll move all of this out of the way and I'll cut back in just a moment. Alright, so I've got the toolboxes out of the way. I've cut some RHS, which is 75mm box. It's reasonably thick, so hopefully it's strong enough. And what I'm going to do for now is just to tech screw these through this pole into these one. And then eventually, once I'm happy with where these have settled, I can weld a plate on here and weld it all in nice and strong. And then the same up here. So then the plan is to try and take off the corner flashing on the outside of the shed. Try and take off this flashing, which is pretty big, but the drain is in the way, so we'll see how we go with that. But I'll take that off and then work out where I want to put the hinges, cut a little section out so you can get to that RHS, then put this back on and cut a little section out of the flashing, and hopefully the hinge can poke through there. So I'm not sure how that's going to work, but I'll give it a shot. And then these hinges I'm going to screw on because I'm not a huge fan of them. They're just what I have. They're just like interior door hinges, but they are pretty thick. So we'll see, and the gate shouldn't weigh too much. So I'll give these a shot first, but I can always remake things. So let's screw that on. Alright, so those poles are tech screwed in for now. Let's move to the outside. Alright, so the plan was to take this end flashing off. I've undone all the tech screws and it's still quite tight, and then I realised that it's concreted in. And it's also under the gutter up the top. So I'm not heaps sure how I'm going to get that off. But I guess I'll have to measure and just cut from the outside and hope for the best. I don't know, I don't really want to do that. I'll get back to you when I have a solution. Fingers crossed, I'll stuff this up. Alright, so I made a mistake by cutting through this tin. I really didn't need to. So I'm going to have to seal that hole up pretty well because I don't want weather and animals and insects and stuff getting in there. So I've got a piece of, I think it's 25 by 75. So I'm going to cut this out a little bit more, screw that in there, and then I can use silicone or whatever around it and cap it all off. That will also get me the distance off of the shed for the hinge, and then I can screw the hinge to this. And I can always replace this hinge at a later date, and I've got something nice to weld to. So I'm going to cut this out, probably just tech screw this on for now, maybe permanently, I don't know, and leave enough room for the hinge. Then do the same at the top, then try and mount the gate, try and get it swinging and see if it fits in the hole, and then I can cut the gate down and weld it up fully and put tin on it. So bit of a process, and I already stuffed up, so hopefully that's the last one for today. So all I did then was just drill 4 holes for the hinge over here and 4 holes for some nice Tech screws there, which also came out on the back side, so I can center this all nicely in that hole and screw it all down. So let's do that. The screws are too long. So of course I don't have the right size screws in my whole collection of screws, so this is going to be tight. So I'm going to need to get some washers for now, put them behind this plate, screw it all tight, and then I can remove the washers later and get some different screws. So I'll go get some washers. Alright, so I need 10G 20 or 25mm screws. I've got 10G 30 and 8, 25 and 20. So get some washers, take these out, start again. Alright, that's mounted and nice and strong. So now I need to copy the same thing up there where the top of the gate will be. So the idea is I'll attach this gate to here, and then this can swing shut, which will bring the gate around and flat against the shed, hopefully. This sticks out a bit more than I would like, but I can put some flashing on that and make it look a bit prettier or something. Not that it's going to matter. So I want to get rid of the washers because the gate's going to be too long, and then also this block behind here is going to make the gate too long as well. So once I take the washers out, I'll get a little bit more, but the gate's probably going to be too wide, I think. So I'll just move up the top and try and get that happening. See where we can get to. Alright, let's pretend I showed you that. But we got the top hinge all cut up and done. It's pretty much the same as the bottom one. It's exactly the same as the bottom one, just a bit different screws because I ran out of what I had, and then I've just clamped the gate in place and it actually clears, which is really nice. It's not at all what I expected. I expected to have to cut some off of this, and it's very close obviously, but remember we've got those 3 washers down that side so they can come out, and then this will have a little bit more clearance. So it's 50mm off the ground currently. I can only open it to about there at the moment because it's just clamped together, but that's the basic idea. So what I'd like to do now is get some angle line, and I'll cut it to this length and weld it on in here, and then I can screw from the hinge through the angle line, and that'll hold the gate on. So I'll do that top and bottom, get this thing hinging by itself, use the screws that I've got, and then I'll get some more later once I've nutted all this out. Then I'd like to get some little flashing and cap this off, make it all a bit prettier, paint it all or whatever eventually. I want to paint this whole fence and that whole shed at some point, so I'll probably just wait till then. But that's the idea. So I might actually look at the latch next. I don't know, we'll see. Alright, I got a little distracted and got into it. So I've just got the angle line cut here, just welded it on a second ago, screwed the hinge to it, so I can change those hinges if I need to at a later date. Same on the bottom. I've only got aluminium flat bar at the moment, so I used this and made a little wonky guy and put a latch up here so that all latches together. And again, I still need to take the washers out of this side so it will shift across a little bit. So pretty happy with that, it's all kind of snug. Need to take those washers out though because it'll push everything across a little bit and get me a little bit more room here. Still not sure if I want to cut it or not, but there is a little, it's just touching now, so could take 5mm off it, which I probably will, but I'll get the screws and stuff first and finish this corner, and then I will put the sheets on and shorten this and weld the gate fully and all that sort of stuff. But for right this second, it's trying to rain. Got the gate pretty much in the right spot. So I wanted to line it up with this crack in the floor, and something's moved since because it did line up. That's why this bend is over here. So I'll sort that out. All needs to go that way, so I need screws really, and then I can put the purlins on and run the fence that way. So should all blend in pretty nicely. And then I'd like to put a little latch up the top here so you can just grab up the top to open the gate. Just a little string or something. But that's the idea. So I'm not really sure what to do right this second. I might go to Bunnings and get some screws. But I should show you before I do anything else that this does open all the way against the fence, shed, sorry. And then this little step, which is for the guy on that end, could keep it off the shed, and also put a latch here so I can attach it to the shed on this side. So pretty happy with that, really. Alright, quick trip to Bunnings. Got bolts for the purlins for the fence, which I'm going to get the purlins later today. Got some plates to tie in that RHS on the inside here to the pole. Got some 10G countersunk screws, which is what I was after, but the 30mm long, so that's the shortest you can get, so I'll have to cut a bit off of these, which is really annoying. And then another latch for the shed side, so when this opens up it can latch in. And then a bit of flat bar to remake that piece, which I made in aluminium, and hopefully that's enough to get this gate finished. Alright, standard Jeff filming things. I've got on with it. So I got this piece of a gate latch, so there's a flat piece on the back. I've just bolted that to the shed, and I've put some rubber or foam or whatever you want to call it on here, and a little bit on here, which I've also made and welded on so it doesn't rattle and it clips in nicely, because there's nothing worse than a rattly gate. I mean, that's a little bit rattly, but it's not too bad. So I replaced the screws over there. For some reason I went from 8s to 10s, and now the 10s are loose, so I don't know how that works. So I'm probably going to have to weld the hinges on, but I don't want to do that until I'm 100% sure, so it'll be a little bit loose for now until I work out exactly what I want to do. But as you can see, it lines up reasonably well with the crack in the concrete, which is okay, and it looks like a gate, so that's good. And then I need to put a rope on here, like I said, that it'll open up nicely and clip into the shed. So pretty much just need to fully weld it and then put all the tin on it. Alright, I have a little bit more time, so I've just mocked up a sheet of tin. So it's 25mm above the frame that I made. It hangs down probably 25mm as well. So it's got a nice clearance to the floor, and it's pretty level and looks all pretty good. And then I've hooked up a piece of cable, so once the fence is in place you can still open this. We'll probably need to put a spring on this to push it back down, but we'll cross that bridge when we get there. So this is blocked up with about 75mm, so it's like 50mm at this end and 75mm at that end, because the concrete is on a fair old taper. So I need to weld this gate frame fully and then screw these sheets on, and then we're pretty much done for now at least. I need to weld the hinges on, but I might get new ones because they're kind of old ones, so see how we go with that. But that's how tall it's all going to be. We need to get some capping for the top, and then run the fence, which is going to take ages. Alright, it's a new day, I have a bit more time, so today I'm going to weld this frame up, screw those sheets on, get it to latch nicely, and then take this string off because it's not working. Deal with that later, and then we'll call that an episode, and then next time I'm going to build a fence. So I'll crack the welder out and I will put the sheets on and I'll time lapse it all so it's nice and quick, and we'll get this episode done. Forgot how annoying it is to weld in the wind. Alright, so the tin is screwed on. It seems weird here, I don't know why it's sticking out, probably because the sheets aren't lined up properly. But I did that because I wanted to have the nice round part right on the very edge, so probably gonna have to deal with that or move the whole sheet over. And then the sheets were different lengths apparently, so I'm gonna have to cut that as well and then get some trim for it. But that's all boring stuff, so I will leave it here for now. Alright, so that's it for this week. Unfortunately the gate's not quite finished, but I will show you the result of it being finished when I do the fence, which I'm about to start. So that'll be it for this week's episode. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed my shit gate building, and I'll see you next week.